Last time we bought a few useful tips for those who are planning to visit the DR for a short-term stay or as a tourist, and today we prepared another set of useful things that we wish we knew before we came here for those who are planning to stay in the Dominican Republic for longer, let it be months or even years. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
So the first and most important topic is visa. So when you come here to the Dominican Republic, you gain 30 days visa automatically, which is included in your plane ticket. But if you want to stay longer, there is no problem. There is a good system around it here. So it's absolutely normal and common thing to overstay your tourist visa. And there are tiers based on how long you want to overstay. So there is from 1 month to 10 years. If you want to overstay to 1 to 3 months, it will cost you around $50. And if you want to overstay for, let's say, 10 years without leaving the country, it would cost you $1,500. So when you want to leave the Dominican Republic after you overstayed your tourist visa, you not only need to show your passport when you exit, but you will have a cashier stall next to it. So you go there, you present when you entered the country, and they will give you a receipt how much you need to pay.
Exactly. Just like many other things in the Dominican Republic, visas and residency permits are quite laid back compared to other countries. So, for example, if you are staying in the country on a tourist visa, you are still entitled to very similar rights to what citizens entitled to, such as you can buy a car without any problems, you can buy a property, you can open a bank account, even though we see the checklist of what sort of documents the local banks need. And it's too much of a hassle. But still, the point is that most people are perfectly fine staying in the DR on a tourist visa, and again can do a lot of things easily, especially with this overstay fee and overstay system in place. However, there are a few scenarios, a few situations when you might want to consider applying for a temporary residency, which we are no expert in this topic, so this is something that we know based on a 10-15 minute Google search. The procedure is in place, and there are situations, for example, you want to open a business, you definitely can't do that on a tourist visa. Also, other benefits of applying for temporary residency is some of the property taxes are not applicable to you if you're a resident, and so on and so forth. So there are definitely some sort of benefits, and most importantly, when it comes to working, it also makes a difference if you are a tourist or a resident, and this basically takes us to the next useful tip or next useful thing to know about living in the Dominican Republic, that is working in the DR. Obviously, the DR is a booming tourist destination, but as well as a booming expat and digital nomad destination. Thousands of foreigners come here in the hope of living the dream of just grabbing a laptop, sitting on the beach and making a living and doing their work remotely, which we know that it's not quite the same, but still this is something that probably a topic for an entirely different episode. But for the purpose of these useful things, experience shows that, again, many people come here and bring their work with them and carry out this work in the Dominican Republic. However, the whole legal surroundings around this remote work is pretty much a gray zone. This is a humble disclaimer, we are by no means employment experts or tax experts, so it's highly recommended that you guys check out the rules before you come here for long term, depending on what sort of work you want to carry out. As we said before, if you want to start a business that entails a different sort of residency than being just on a tourist visa. But again, the bottom line is, and experience shows, that it's perfectly fine, and many people does that they come here, bring their work with them, and they just work and live here. Or if their profession allows that, if they are yoga instructors, personal trainers, or these sort of things, many people does that here in the DR without any problem.
Our experience, you don't need to prove your income or you don't need to show your bank statement upon entering the Dominican Republic.
The last thing that could be important to mention when we talk about working in the Dominican Republic is we got a few questions about what about coming here and starting to work for a Dominican company or getting Dominican employment. Now again, in what we witnessed and what we observed in the last couple of months since we've been here is that first of all, most of these jobs, especially in places like where we are, that is 99% revolving around tourism, there are not really the sort of companies in place who would cater for those sort of employees. The works that are available are filled by Dominican people, and of course, considering the cost of living and those wages, this probably might not be the best way forward, and probably not the thing that most people are actually thinking about when it comes to working here.
Most expats are doing remote work or having their own business.
Exactly, which is perfectly doable. We just, again, the bottom line is just we highly advise that you guys look into how that works, just to make sure that you cover yourself and don't do anything that might get you into trouble. And with this being said, the next useful tip is. Next useful tip that we've been asked a couple of times before was about healthcare, how healthcare works in the Dominican Republic. And basically what we can tell, luckily, just quickly knock on wood, we hardly had any direct experience with the healthcare system here in the DR. We have a health insurance in place, and we've been told that the quality of the healthcare is decent, is quite good.
Only downside is the distances around here. So we live in Cabarete at the moment, and the closest hospital is in Puerto Plata, which is around like 30-40 minutes drive. If you want to search for a specialist care, you might need to go to Santiago, which is around 2.5 hours away from here. And these distances are particularly problematic when you need to call an ambulance in a case of an emergency, because they need to travel at least like an hour to come here, in this traffic could be a nightmare.
Yes, I think one of the most important useful advice we can give to people, if you have any kind of procedure coming up, let it be a minor surgery or anything that you want that needs to be done, it's probably better if you get it done at home in a healthcare system that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with, because even though the DR is said to be having a decent quality healthcare, because of the distances and because of the completely different language and completely different just workings and dynamics, just for your peace of mind, it's probably better if you get everything done and sorted at home.
The next topic was really important for me and Lizzie, because we are not really big fans of bugs and insects.
Yeah, so here's a funny story. When we were still planning our move to the Dominican Republic, we made a little research around everything, and the bug situation came up. We thought it would be a good idea to ask a few people who already live here to have a better idea of what are we up against and what the bug situation actually is. And it turns out it was a quite bad idea. In fact, we almost changed our minds and decided not to move to the Dominican Republic, because the comments and especially the pictures that we've been given by these people were not encouraging, to say the least.
I think the best is to show you those pictures.
Yes. In reality, and this is the good thing, we live here for almost 8 months, and the worst that we found were mosquitoes.
If you are a person like me who is worried about the bug situation, there are some useful tips for you, which you should consider before coming here. It is important to be as close to the beach as possible, because usually the big spiders and all the scary creatures are closer to the jungle. And also if you choose an apartment on a higher floor which is well maintained and cleaned
And has mosquito nets.
You could manage the bug situation. So there is no national postal service here in the DR. So if you want to order anything online, it's not as easy as you might got used to in your home country.
Exactly. This is especially true if when it comes to items that are either higher value or higher weight, because these companies. So this is quite simple how they work. You go to one of these local companies' offices, you sign up and open an account, and whatever you order from Amazon or any other websites that would normally do, they basically deliver to a US address, and this Dominican company ships that item over from the US to the DR, and they have hubs throughout the country, and they send your parcel to that office, to your local office, and you can go there and pick things up. You only pay a small fee based on the weight of your item. And again, if you want to order something that is either heavier or more expensive, you might want to consider that make those purchases beforehand before you come here. So if you know that you're going to need a new laptop further down the road, or anything again bigger value, then it's highly advisable that you buy those before you move to the DR, instead of being here and waiting 2-3 weeks or a month for a new laptop that costs a couple of $1,000s to arrive. Okay, so let's roll back to the basics for a bit. If you're planning to move to another country, obviously for most people this is not an impulsive decision that you just wake up one morning and say, oh, tomorrow I move to the Dominican Republic. This is something that is usually comes after weeks or months of careful planning and preparing. And the crucial part, the most important part of this whole move is that where we're gonna live and where we're gonna find a place where we're gonna settle. But this comes with a few challenges, because obviously if you know that you're gonna move to the DR, let's say 4 months from now, even if you find some suitable looking apartments or places that you would rent here, first of all, you never seen the area, you don't know how it feels like, you never seen the place itself in real life, and as we all know, there can be huge differences between pictures and, and reality. So what worked for us in the last couple of years, and it was very, very good when it comes to finding our place in a new country,
is that first we book an accommodation for a shorter term, usually for 1 month, because Airbnb do some monthly discount, which can give a really affordable housing option. And then when we are here in that 1 month, we look around, we check out the different locations, and we have the feel of the place. We will find the best beaches or the best areas we want to live in, and find accommodation in that area
for longer term. And another advantage of this approach is that once you are here, you can obviously meet people, make some connections, talk to them, let them know that you're looking for something long term. There are plenty of options, and it's much easier to find your long term accommodation once you are here than having this sort of illusion that you can find a suitable place for 6 months, 1 year, or even longer from a distance months ahead.
Yes, and it will be much cheaper for you to look here in person rather than book it in advance.
Exactly.
Our last tip is regarding WhatsApp, which is really important here in the Dominican Republic.
We can't stress enough how important WhatsApp is in the everyday communication in the Dominican Republic. While most people in the US or in Europe knows this application for being a chat app for friends, here 99% of even official communications between you and your bank, you and your school, you and your pharmacist takes place over WhatsApp, much more than, let's say, over emails. So if you don't use this app, if you don't have this app on your phone, make sure you download it and register, or buy a local SIM card and use it with that application here in the DR, because it will make life so much easier. I think that was it for today. Really hope that we could manage to give some another bunch of useful tips for those who are planning to spend longer time here in the DR. As always, if you have any questions, anything in particular anything you want to know about something in particular, please hit us up in the comments. We really try to do our best to help and answer those questions. And next time we're gonna come back with another topic that we haven't decided yet, but we try to make it interesting as always. That's it. See you guys next time.